Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to yet another video from the Thrift Store Prepper. And today's video is the much long awaited and much promised Thrift Store Prepper original recipes. That's right, coming to you tonight, the first of maybe an ongoing series. Who knows? Thrift Store Prepper original recipes. So basically what we're going to be doing today is creating a dish out of items that I have in my pantry, or items that you could have in your pantry if you follow the Thrift Store Prepper philosophy. If you do, then you're probably more misguided than me, but you know, hey, if it works, it works. And I've managed to get to nearly 50 kind of living this way, so maybe there's something to be said for it. But anyway, what we're going to be doing today is an original ramen recipe from the Thrift Store Prepper. So what we're going to do is we're going to be starting out with ramen noodles. In this case, we're using two. Now, as you can see, these bags are actually emptying because, in the sense of good old Blue Peter, which was a much beloved children's TV show back in the 70s and 80s in England, here's one I prepared earlier. So we have our two bags of ramen pre-crushed, and they are in fact in a clear Ziploc bag. And why I'm using a clear Ziploc bag today is because you can actually see what's going on inside. If you have been following this channel from the start, again, you poor misguided soul, but you will know that we've cooked our meals in a variety of things that are not pots, pans, or not in the kitchen, and we've used various Ziploc or Mylar type bags, in many cases bags that sometimes end up in the trash that have already had something previously packaged in, like trail mix or dried coconuts or mangoes. But today we're using just a clear Ziploc, which is something, you know, most people, most households will have in them, and a very handy thing to have. You know, you can fill these up with water, you can chuck stuff in. You know, I don't really need to explain it. You should, I hope, be able to grasp the concept of a Ziploc bag. So we're going to keep this simple, and we're not going to be using many items. In fact, we're only going to be using 1.5 cans and then additional ingredients from my pantry. So the other thing we're going to add to this is, for now, just one package of the seasoning. We would use two, but that's far too much sodium. And we can save that other one for something else, even just like a little warming broth. So we've got an extra ramen we're going to season, we're going to put to the side, and we're going to get one in there and just shake that up. Now we're using vegetable flavor ramen today, and that's kindly because this meal is suitable for vegetarians. I don't know, it might even be suitable for vegans. Let me know in the comments below if vegans can eat the things that I'm about to throw in there, and if not, I can add that to the scratch list. So, you know, this is going to be a vegetarian meal. This is going to be a meal that is actually going to be quite nutritional for you, and by that we're going to be putting a lot of vitamins and good stuff into this ingredient, unlike previous meals where we've made prison recipes with ramen, where we have disguised junk food as real food. In this instance, we're going to use the ramen as our carb and as our base for real food that's going to be going into there. Now we're going to be using items that obviously maybe are difficult to get in the prison or unable at all to get in prison, but you can get them in the local grocery store, or maybe even your convenience store, or wherever you may be shopping, places like Walmart, Target and stuff like that. So the next ingredient we're going to be putting in is a mixed bean salad. Now there's many things we can do with these beans. They are multi-purpose, and this is where we're going to be getting a big bulk of our good stuff. So we've got some protein going in here. So for a 250 ml serving, which is, there's 2 full servings and then 40 ml left over. So if you double all of this, you're going to get 60% of your iron, you're going to get 40% calcium, we're going to get 36 grams of protein, 8 grams of sugar, 34 grams of fiber, and 40 grams of carbs, and 660 calories, as well as some fat, 8% lipsides and 3% saturated in trans. So what we're going to do is we are going to open our can of beans. Now, something I'm already realizing, that I'm going to have to try and open this and then drain So there you go, no problem there. Now something you could do once this is open is we could use the liquid that is in here. Goodness, I don't want to make a mess. As you say, we're doing this in a basement and not a kitchen, so I don't know why I can't get the lid off, and I don't really want to. So what I'm gonna do is, I knew I should have done this before, was put down a safety protector type thing. So we're just going to move that onto there, and as you can see, we've had quite a foobar with this can opener situation. I got the can opener off, that's good. So we still got a piece of the lid left on there, never mind. Now something you could do, let's, rather than move the thing to the, there's a little bit of paper and then we'll get rid of that. You can see they're kind of in a little bit of a vinaigrette type thing there. Now what you could actually do is just dump enough of that in to hydrate your ramen noodles, and what we might even do is, just to drain a little bit, pour just a little bit in, not too much, just a little bit like that. And there we go. See, the mat was a wise decision. Now we've got something that's going to not get messy. So we're going to just kind of mix that in a little bit. And the reason I'm not going to use the entire can, because there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't. Once that's in there, you could quite easily just empty the entire can into this bag and wait for the ramen to hydrate. But this is where we're going to add some extra nutrients, and this is a little secret ingredient and a little secret tip the thrift store prepper is going to share with you today. And something that you may overlook or may not be considered as a smart item to put in your prepper pantry is V8. Now, I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with V8. This is a vegetable-based juice, and what it is actually packed full of vitamins and great nutritional items or nutritional value. So I don't know if anybody can read those or is interested in those, but there's a lot of numbers on there. So something I would recommend, I mean, these don't actually have the longest of shelf life compared to things like canned tomatoes, but I would recommend this over canned tomatoes all day, every day, to put in your prepper pantry. And certainly I would recommend this for using things like pasta sauces. Why? Because it has the added ingredients that canned tomatoes don't have. And I think it gives you a 250 ml gives you your 2 a day, or at least makes to your 2 a day, or however many vegetables they say you should eat a day, depending on what part of the world. And it's made with 100% puree and juice. So what we're going to do today is we are going to use this to hydrate our ramen noodle and start our bean casserole stew type thing that we're making in our bag. Now I'm pretty sure Gibson Girl, my favorite commenter and one of my most loyal fans, is already shaking her head and cringing and feeling she needs to reach for a bucket just at the prospect of what's going to happen next. But I can assure you this actually will taste better than it looks in the preparation stage. And the most important thing is that if you are, you know, low income or not really getting a lot of money spare to be buying food with, this is going to give you quite a lot of important nutrients into your diet, into this meal. So we're gonna pour some of this in to our ramen. Now, I'm not sure how much we've used this, and this was actually $2 and it's just under a litre. So there we go. If we kind of mush that around, and yeah, you can see there we do have, let's just put a little bit more for good measures. Now again, you know, this is something that we have a spare ramen seasoning here. That's something I forgot to mention. I'd already added a seasoning packet to the ramen before we started this video. But if you had a seasoning packet here and you just dumped that into the V8 and warmed it up, that would give you kind of a nice tomato soup. And again, you could maybe just dump your ramen in and give you a tomato ramen soup, and it would certainly be giving you a good dose of your daily requirements. So we use maybe like a third or a quarter of the bottle there, so we still got enough left over. So something I am going to do is have to drain the beans. You know what, let's just put a little bit more juice in for good measures. And a couple of beans to get in there. So that's added flavor and nutrients. So there you go. I can already feel that starting to soften. So I'm just going to pause it quickly while I drain the beans. If I can press the... Okay, so I'm back and the beans have been drained, and that's probably something you never ever expected to see or hear in a YouTube video, draining your beans. And I actually drained these in my bathroom sink because I do have a little bathroom in my basement here. So the next thing we do is we pour in our entire can of beans. So there you go. So up until this point, 2 ramen noodles works out at 40 cents, and I believe this was $1.32, $1.20, I can't remember, something like that. I do have the receipt somewhere. So there you can see we've got a pretty full bag of food. So the ramen noodles are hydrating below. We've got the beans on top. Now this is where we're going to start using a few added ingredients from our pantry. So we're going to use this little can as our trash. So let's put that there so you can see how we're doing this. Trash, trash, trash. Out of sight. There you go. And we've got the V8 in the background as one of the ingredients. Now I'm thinking of calling this recipe my zesty ramen bean stew. And why it's going to be zesty is because we're going to add our next can or our next ingredient. Now our next ingredient is going to be one of these little can of Mexican salsa. Now these were 99 cents at my local No Frills, and if you watch the recent unbagging Sensi 20 No Frills unbagging, you'll see that these cost 99 cents or $1, I can't remember now. And it has a little pull-off can. These are not necessarily designed for things to eat, although, you know, you could just empty one of these into a ramen noodle on its own, and that would give it a little bit of flavor and a little bit of vitamin C. So per 30 ml, you get a 20% portion of iron and 4% of vitamin C. So this doesn't have a lot of nutritional value in it, but it is going to give us some extra vitamins and a little bit more fiber, and it's also going to give us some more flavor. So we've got some tomato, some jalapeno, pepper, onion, coriander, salt, and vinegar. Now obviously, you know, using the V8, the ramen noodles are going to soak up all that juice and all that nutrients. We've got all the protein, the fiber, the carb, everything going in from our beans, and this is just kind of to give it a little bit more of a decent flavor. So we're going to just open that and pour that on top. So there you go, and push that to the side. We no longer need that. So at the moment, this meal so far has cost us less than $2.50, and believe me, there is a very heavy bag of food, and certainly enough to overfill one person and maybe even feed 2, possibly 3. I don't know, you could spread this out far. So the next item we're going to put in is a little bit of Frank's Red Hot, and if you listen to the Canadian advertising campaign, you have to put this shit on everything. And they even had a very old lady in one of the commercials who said just that. I put that shit on everything. So we're going to give a good little dash of hot sauce in there, and it's up to you. You can add whatever hot sauce you want, but this is the one I've got, Frank's Red Hot. The other thing we're going to add is a little dash of lemon, and this is where we get our zest, and just a little bit of that. And the other thing is some lime, and you know, this is going to give us a little bit of that southwestern, maybe Mexican flavoring into this dish. So that's pretty much it. The ramen noodles have actually already rehydrated, and that is pretty ready to go, but we kind of need to mix it up a bit. So, you know, this is how we do it. You just move it around, and I don't know if any of my viewers are going to get any ASMR effects from me doing this. But you can see we're kind of pushing everything up to the top and letting it fall back down. And you're right, or rather you're right, I'm right, that ramen noodle is already hydrated. So as it stands, this meal is ready to serve. And unfortunately, I don't have anything to serve it in on hand. I should have thought about that probably before, but wait just there. So, using a trusty takeout container that I saved, and this is a nice one because it has compartments in it, kind of like the food trays you'd get in either prison or in schools. So that's got some space to put stuff in. So what we're trying to do, I don't know if that's even going to be big enough. I might even have to get a bowl to mix this, to be quite honest. So as you can see, nothing's leaked. There's our bean stew, and you can see, if we come in close, the vegetables at the top there. We can see the beans, and coming down, you can see the ramen at the bottom. And the one bean that managed to make it down there is kind of like the single sperm that gets to the embryo, or gets to the egg and forms the embryo. That little guy is winning the battle to get to the bottom. So I don't know, maybe we are going to need something a little bit bigger and better to that to push this in. So you don't even need to be a cook or have any cooking skills to really just pour stuff into the bag. So you know what, I think I'm probably going to have to get a decent sized bowl or something to mix this up in, just to show you how much food there is. But you can see from that, we've got a very big bag, and as I say, we've only used 2 cans and 2 ramen and a couple of dashes of things that we have in our pantry for flavouring. You know what else you could add that I've just found here that I forgot to? Are little crispy onions. So maybe, you know, we might save those just to sprinkle on top at the end. Oh wait, no, that's not going to work. Sorry, I'm trying to like find things that are on hand that I can maybe pour this into, that we could demonstrate how much is there. You know what, maybe we'll just pour it into one of these containers. So remove the lids, and that might even give us an indication of how many portions this makes. So what we're going to do is, I've got a spoon here. Let's move the containers out of the way so you can see what you're doing. Come to think about it, this hasn't been the best thought out video at all, but it doesn't matter. And if anything, it just demonstrates how you can get by. There we go. So let's get the spoon in there and start mixing all of our ingredients together. So we've got ramen, we got beans, we got our salsa, we got the good old V8 that's soaking up in there. And something you could also do, if you did have a pot to piss in and you had a way of heating the pot in some water, then you could maybe just dump all this ingredients into the one pot and bring it to the boil, and that would provide you a nice hot ramen based bean stew. Now the other thing you could do, as you know, we've got a very, very big pantry. Well, I say very big pantry. I've got a pretty decent sized pantry at my disposal, and I have things like canned ham, I have canned luncheon meat, canned corned beef. So if you wanted to go and push the boat out and add yet another can from your ingredient, your pantry or your parlor into this ingredient, you could. I certainly think something like chicken, if you had canned chicken, or would be a pretty good ingredient to add to this, and certainly give you that little bit of extra protein, and it would be, you know, quite a comforting dish, especially if you served that warm. But we're keeping it simple, we're keeping it frugal. 2 cans, 2 ramen. That's it. 4 ingredients, actually 3 if you count the ramen as 1 ingredient. You don't really need to count 2 ramen as 2 separate ingredients. So this is a 3 ingredient stew that is going to give you pretty much all of your daily, not all of your daily requirements, but certainly going to give you a lot towards your daily requirements of nutrition. So we've got protein, carbs, vitamins, all that good stuff. So next thing, or the only thing to do, is serve it. So we're not going to use those Tupperware containers, and as I said, you're seeing how we improvise and make this up as we go. I could have quite easily paused the video, got my shit together, and presented you it hassle and trouble free, but this is how we overcome things and how we learn together. So let's get our little container here, and you know, let's get some out on the plate. So nice, there we go. We got the beans, we got some ramen, Let's go to the bottom and get some more ramen out. And again, you know, you could just run up if you had a microwave. Once you've made it in the bag, you can go upstairs, or not upstairs, go to your kitchen or wherever you're. Actually, some of those aren't hydrated. There's still a little bit of crunch there, so maybe we should just leave this a little bit longer to hydrate. But I'm not sure if you can see in there. Where's my handy rag? I can't find it, so I just rub my hands on a Dollarama bag. So let's come up here. There you go. You can pretty much see what we've got there. It doesn't look that appetizing, I know. It's just beans and ramen, but oh yeah, they're still very crunchy. So we're just going to leave that in there. See if I can take a little bite just to see. And I'll be honest with you, that's not bad. It's quite a actual fresh flavor. Get the definitely the flavor of the V8 and the citrus in there. But as I said, we've made ourselves a little bean casserole. We've got plenty left that could serve either for later, or if you've got more than one person, you could be sharing that out. Actually, that is pretty damn good. Now I've swallowed and chewed it and the flavor's still there, so let's have another bite. Yeah, you know, that certainly isn't unpleasant, and I know that watching it being made wasn't the most appealing way, but sometimes, you know, you don't have to have fancy equipment to be able to put yourself together a meal. So my only thing I would probably do in the future if I was doing this was just leave the ramen a little bit longer to hydrate. Maybe certainly if you were just dumping this into a pot and boiling it all up together, it would be a lot better than just heating it up in a bag. But as you can see, this is how we operate at the Thrift Store Prepper. We're running out of a basement. I do have access to the upstairs apartment and the kitchen if I need to, but I tend to keep my space and myself to myself and keep my stuff together, and sometimes put together little snacks and recipes like this for myself to eat throughout the week. So this was the first of maybe an ongoing series of original Thrift Store Prepper ramen recipes. I'm going to ask you to let me know what you think in the comments. I'm almost certain that I get one from my favorite viewer, Gibson Girl. And I'd be even more curious if somebody would actually go out of their way and make one of these themselves and let me know how it tasted or what they thought of it. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping here, that maybe some of the wisdom that I have learned on my way will be able to pass on to others, and someone might be able to pass it on to someone else, and my life on earth won't be completely in vain if I've managed to pass on a little bit of information that may or may not benefit someone in the future. So not really sure what else I can say. I mean, you could add a couple of our little crispy onions on the top there just for extra garnish. And you know, if you did have any other herbs and spices at your, there's a piece of carpet, I don't know how that got in there, but if you did have any other herbs or spices in your pantry, then again, some creativity and go crazy to your own taste. You don't have to follow this. What we did is just showed you how to make a very, very inexpensive, filling and nutritious meal from items in our prepper pantry without cooking, without using pots and pans, without anything. So I'm going to try and wrap this up now. I don't think there's anything I've forgotten, but as always, usually the minute I hit the stop button, that's when I remember something I should have said. But I think I've covered all the bases. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, it has been a shit video production for the Thrift Store Prepper. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. And let me know what you think of this in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. Take care, everybody. Catch you next time.